God truly bless the sharing and hearing of His Word this morning as we pause and look at these words as we find them in Ephesians, and we continue with our series on 5 practices of fruitful congregations. We've had the opportunity to look at radical hospitality and passion and worship, and today we want to take the next phase of that journey, and we want to take a look this morning at intentional faith development. I want to thank Julie Leathers for the arrangement we have on the table. It really fits today, talking about growing in our faith, and to see that process of growth with the bulbs and the seeds and some plants that are starting to grow, and plants that are almost all ready to bloom out and blossom. We see that process all around us right now. My goodness, crocuses have already been out, and I notice the daffodils are already starting to think about sticking their heads out and give us some nice color for the season. But growth is a part of life. Growth is also a part of our faith. And that's what we want to take a look at this morning, intentional faith development. I read an article that alluded to a Gallup poll that was taken, and I did try and find the results of that Gallup poll on the internet, and just really didn't have a lot of success. But either way, it was interesting, the comment in the article I was reading, and it said that there was a Gallup poll that found that 80% of evangelicals say that their faith makes no real difference in their life. Now, I have a hard time believing that, but whether that's true or not, and with the article, but even so, to stop and to think about that, 80% say that their faith makes no real difference in their lives. And that's something I want to kind of address this morning. Why is that? Why would that be? What brings that about? As I was thinking about that, I thought of a story about a duck. This duck would always fly south for the winter, north for the summer. And one time this duck was flying with this flock of ducks and heading south for the winter. And it left the pack and kind of flew down and flew into a barnyard full of chickens. And it noticed something that was really amazing. It had all the food it needed. And it was just simply given to it. When this duck was in this barnyard, there was food all over the place. He didn't have to work for it. It was just kind of there for him. And he thought, wow, this is really great. This is really great. Life is good. And so he just decided at that point he'd just kind of stick around for a while. So the rest of the ducks just kept flying south, and they stayed there in that barnyard for the winter. And that's what happened. It was great. Everything was provided. He had shelter. He had food. It was all there. Came time for his little friends, the ducks, to fly north again for the summer, and they flew overhead. He looked up and saw them and thought, thought about going back with them, but this is pretty good. It's pretty good where I'm at right now. I think I'll just stay in this barnyard because there's still a lot of food and things are still going really well, and I'll just stick around. Next season came along. Once again, he saw those ducks flying south. But this time he thought, maybe I'll join them this year. And so he took this running start and tried to get off the ground and found that he couldn't get off the ground. See, what happened is that he ate too much and he was a little overweight. And he couldn't fly. And so he just watched them as they continued to go south. Next time when he saw him coming north again, there he was in the barnyard. He said, I'm not even sure that I'm a duck anymore. I'm just stuck in this place with all these chickens. I can't even fly to get away. I thought about that, and I thought, we have to be careful. Because sometimes our faith can turn out like that. Things can get pretty good. All we have to do is just kind of stick around. We don't have to fly. We don't have to necessarily work to grow our faith. Everything's there and just served up, and we just kind of coast along and just kind of do things day in and day out, normal routine, every day this and every day that. And so we're just fine. But then we discover that something's missing. Something's not there. What is it makes our faith grow? What is that makes our faith something that gives us energy and strength and vitality? Sometimes we stop and we think that maybe just knowing about God is all that we need. We stop and think, well, yeah, everything's good. We believe some of the things we've heard and we've read and our experiences, and it's all good enough. And I know what's in here. I've read Scripture, and I know about God, and I know these things of God. But the question is just knowing these things enough? Is just our knowledge of these things enough? You see, I think not, because it's not the knowledge that gives us our salvation. It's not knowledge that does that. Knowledge doesn't bring us to a place where we can necessarily grow in itself. Knowledge doesn't do that. I read a story about, about a prince in Granada, Spain, and he was destined to become king. But the opposing power took over, and he found himself in prison for 33 years. They put him in solitary confinement. And this prince was in solitary confinement. The only thing they gave him was one thing to read, and that was the Bible. And so he took the Bible and he read it. And he read it, and he read it for 33 years. He read it over and over and over again until he died 33 years later. And when they were in there cleaning out his cell, they noticed some things. They noticed on the wall, he had found a nail, and he had written things on the wall with the nail. He kind of etched it into the wall. He had written things. Amazing some of the things that he discovered over those 33 years with his knowledge. He knew that Psalm 118, verse 8 is in the middle of the Bible. He also knew, and I like this one, I checked this one out myself, and it is true. I didn't know this, I thought it was interesting. Ezra in the Old Testament, Ezra chapter 7, verse 21. Ezra 7:21. That verse contains all the letters of the alphabet except J. Do you know that? Check that out, Ezra 7:21. All the letters but J. I thought that was kind of interesting. He also knew that Esther chapter 8, verse 9 is the longest verse in the Bible. He also knew that there were no words in the Bible that had more than 6 syllables. He had a lot of knowledge. The question is knowing the Bible enough? Is that enough? Is that knowledge enough? In the 3rd chapter of Ephesians, Paul talks about growing in our faith. Growing in our faith. He talks about this. We have to have faith, and he says that, he talks about in those verses about this faith that grows in us, and he talks about Christ dwelling in our hearts through faith, that being rooted and grounded in love, we can comprehend the breadth, the height, length, and depth. And then he says to know this love of Christ. Faith, it's based on knowing that love of Christ. And then he says it surpasses all knowledge. It goes beyond just our limited knowledge. Now, understand something before you go too far off of this, and I hope everybody's listening. I'm not saying knowledge isn't important. It is. It's crucial. It's important. But it has to go beyond just the knowledge range of our faith, our lives. John Wesley, of course, that's where the Methodist Church began. He graduated from Oxford. And one time they invited him to come back to Oxford and preach. It was kind of an interesting thing. Because the title of his sermon was The Almost Christian. The Almost Christian. And in a way, he kind of got into the face of some of the intellectuals there, because basically what he says that, he commended them. He said, you've got so much knowledge. You've got so much knowledge. You've got all this knowledge.